Alright, so this is going to be a really quick video, and I'm just basically going over my raw 3D scan sneaker package. And again, this image is self-explanatory. The package comes with 4 raw 3D scan sneakers. I've included both the high and low poly. Now all of these sneakers were created using photogrammetry techniques, so that means that I took a bunch of pictures to reconstruct a 3D object. And you can see over here we've got the Yeezy Boost 350 version 2, we've got a Nike Air Force, we've got the generation 1 Yeezy sneaker, and then we've got the classic Converse All-Star sneaker over here. So you've got 4 sneakers that you guys can use with your characters or for illustrations. That's completely up to you. But something I want to talk about is here at the top, I want to put emphasis on raw 3D scan. So that basically means that these sneakers still retain all of the high-res information that was created from the actual scan itself. So that means that some of these sneakers, well, all of them are actually still a bit noisy when you look at the actual geometry itself, but that's not really an issue. I have cleaned up some of them a little bit, but I still left it raw. What you guys can see here, it's really not an issue. We've still got everything. We've got all the textures on here, and the sneakers look pretty good in my opinion. So yeah, there we go. 4 sneakers for you guys to use, completely textured, 4K resolution, and we've got the high and low poly. And just to show you guys what I mean by this raw 3D scan, if I was using the sneaker in ZBrush, you can see over here it's still a bit noisy, but this isn't too much of an issue. If we're using the smooth brush, we can get rid of some of these artifacts if there really is a big issue for some of you guys. But this is me using the high poly within ZBrush, as you can see over here. So it managed to reconstruct everything. It captured all of that information, all of the detail, the laces, even the stitching on the shoe as well. So yeah, and then if you're using this in ZBrush, there we go. We've got a sneaker ready that we can use on our characters. And if I wanted to actually mirror the sneaker, I would just duplicate it and mirror it across the Z axis. So now if I just move that to the side, now we've got a left and right shoe. And then obviously if you feel like it's too identical, you can go back on there, use the move brush, maybe move some of the laces around just to add some asymmetry. It's completely up to you guys what you plan to do with these sneakers. But of course I wanted to supply something that was high quality for you guys to use. Alright, so I'm going to jump over to Cinema 4D and just show you quickly in Cinema 4D if I was importing one of the sneakers. So let's import the Yeezy Boost 350. You can see over here when you come into these folders, you've got the high and the low, and then obviously a preview image of the sneaker. So I created a low that isn't true low poly, but it is an optimized low poly. So that means that the polygon count is a lot lower than the high. So I would use the low, I would opt to use the low instead of the high in other 3D programs. But if you were maybe in ZBrush and you wanted all of that high-res information to see in your viewport, then you can use the high. I've included it as well in case you guys want to use that, but I would always opt to use the low. And the difference between the low and the high as well, the high basically retains all of the raw texture image as well. So any slight imperfections or bounce light is also included on these textures as well. And then with the low, I've basically cleaned up some of that. So maybe I've removed some of the bounce light and cleaned up some artifacts. So the low is definitely I would say my go-to because it is the more optimized version. So anyway, I drag in the low in here, goes into my scene, and then I'm using Octane Render. So I'll create an Octane material. And again, these maps that you guys see over here, the normal, roughness, and diffuse, you can use this in any 3D program. So it's not just limited to me using it in Cinema 4D and Octane Render. I'm sure if you are familiar with 3D, you've been using 3D for some time, you already know what these maps are. Anyway, the diffuse has got all the texture information. The normal has all of the high-res information. So all that high-res detail is baked down into a normal map. And then the roughness is basically controlling where we see if the material is going to look a lot shiny or glossy, and it determines which areas are going to be rough and which areas are going to be shiny. Anyway, so open that up. I'm going to say glossy and then diffuse. Let me bring in an image texture. So I'll drag in my diffuse over there, go to roughness, image texture, drag in the roughness and the normal. So again, you can see here with the low poly, it's missing all of that high-res information. So it's really important that you guys use the normal map since it has all the high-res detail baked into it. And then you just drag that on there. And then another thing I want to show you is playing with the specular value. So I'm just going to open up Octane quickly. And there we go. My sneaker's in here, ready to go, ready to render. I'm going to bring in a area light. Just decrease the size a bit. Now you'll see that the roughness is helping, but you'll see that it's still a little bit shiny. So what I actually do over here is I go to specular, and by color I'll bring this up a little bit, so make it like a lighter gray, and you can control some of the glossiness as well by doing this. So I'll bring it down, make it a little bit of a darker gray, and then you're good to go. And there you go, there's our low poly in here. It's got all the maps applied to it, and it's ready to render. So it's that simple, guys, for applying the maps. And another really cool thing is, since we have the low and high poly, right, and the low is completely UV unwrapped, another cool thing we can do, if you guys are using Substance Painter, I've got Substance Painter over here. If I go File, New, go to Select, and let's say we want to do the Nike Air Force. I'm going to load in the low, and we'll see there's our low poly. Then we go to Bake Textures. I'm going to put this on 4K, high definition. So go back, go and select the high. And then no thickness, my ID I'm going to put on Mesh. And just let this bake. So I'm going to just skip a little bit forward here. Okay, so you can see it's finished bake. So we've got all the high-res detail applied to the low. And now if you guys really want to, you can start texturing this sneaker yourself. So if I go to materials, maybe drag on artificial leather, you can see now I can have a completely black sneaker. Or let's drag on, what else do we have here? Maybe I'll go to plastic matte, add a black mask, change this maybe to a lighter gray. I then go to the mask over here with my paintbrush, and you can literally start painting on top of this, you know, like separating different areas. So this is something that you guys could do as well, if that's what you want to do. If you want to repaint these sneakers, you can do that in Substance Painter. Now of course over here we don't have any poly groups that I can reference to apply certain materials to those certain areas. Like if I really wanted to, in ZBrush I could have created a poly group just for the tick, and then I'd be able to apply that material directly onto the tick. So over here we're doing it a little bit of the hard way. It's been done by hand, so we'll be hand painting these different areas, but then you guys can do this if that's something you're going for. And then see, maybe I want to remove that roughness and control the roughness myself. So you could repaint these sneakers in Substance Painter as well, and that's completely up to you guys. So maybe I want some of the gray on the tick here, but of course I'm painting this with my mouse, so it's like really rough, but just showing you guys that since we've got the high and low poly, you can bake the high onto the low and do stuff like this in Substance Painter. And then obviously you'd want to change this to 4K so that you export it out as 4K, and then you just go to File and Export Textures, and you'll have everything ready. Now this is what I did for, if I go back over here, for the Converse also, you'll see over here there's a muddy version of the sneaker. So I literally, exactly what you just see me do over here, I brought it into Substance Painter, and what I did was I used some of these smart masks. So I would put a fill, maybe dirt complex. Now it is on 4K, so it's going to take a little bit of time to load. So that's probably not the best material to use, but I was playing with some of these masks over here to apply some dirt. Just show you quickly. So you can push these sneakers a little bit further if you wanted to with Substance Painter. It's completely up to you guys. So yeah, that just shows you the possibilities of the sneakers. But anyway, you've got 4 sneakers ready to go. I hope you guys find these useful. Maybe using it for a 3D character or for an illustration. That's completely up to you guys. I would actually love to see what you guys create using these sneakers, so feel free to email me or message me on Facebook and show me some of your results. And thank you guys for the support, and as always, stay tuned for some more videos, and thank you for watching, and goodbye.